welcome to another Zenphi tutorial. As you can tell by the title of today's video, we're going to be going over how you can create a very simple onboarding process that starts from an email. So let's go ahead and get started. Remember that Zenphi is very customizable, so you're able to add different actions. If you want to add more steps to your onboarding process, we have some HubSpot actions, we have some LinkedIn actions, we have some Monday.com actions. So feel free to add as many as you need. I feel like this is a very good base for most companies. For this specific flow, we're going to be using this email to start our flow. We're going to receive all the information for a certain onboarding user. We're going to see their name here, their start date, their department name, etc. And we're going to extract all of this information to be able to create their accounts. Now, since we're going to be receiving the email through our Gmail inbox, we're going to be using the Gmail trigger. The first step to any Zenphi flow is to set up your trigger, which is going to allow Zenphi permission to be able to monitor your inbox. So to do this, we're going to set up a new connection by clicking on the plus icon. This connection can be private or shared. You can even change the name. After you click on authorize, you'll be able to see your email here. You'll also have the option to enable conditional run. This is going to help you save some flow runs, as well as only run the flow when certain criteria is met, maybe when the subject contains the word onboarding, maybe when the text contains certain words, etc. You can select that here. And what this would do is make sure that your flow doesn't run with every single email and only the ones that you actually want it to run for. Now, the first action we're going to use is going to help us extract the information from the text body. So most of the time, the text body is in HTML, so we're going to use this action called extract text from HTML so that we can actually see the text. What we're going to do is click on the chain icon here to indicate the HTML payload. This is called a token picker. We're going to be using it quite a bit in today's tutorial. It allows us to look at information from previous steps and select it. So what we're going to do is go to the information in the trigger down at the bottom and select the HTML body. And then the next action is going to be used to be able to extract the values from certain words. So for example, for the name, I want to extract the information for the department as well as the start date. So I'm going to be using this action called parallel. What this allows you to do is do different steps at the same time, so we don't have to wait for it to be done extracting the name for it to continue onto the department. It's going to do all three at the same time. You can add more branches if you need and simply add a name for each one. Now for all of them, I'm following basically the exact same process. We're going to be extracting the information and then storing it in a variable. So for example, for the name, this action is called regex find value. The text is going to be where we want to extract the text from. So in this case, from the result of the previous action. So again, with the token picker, we can select the text here. Now for regex, you need to select a certain pattern. I would suggest, if you don't know how to work with regex, asking ChatGPT to be able to create a regex expression for what you're looking for and give it an example of your text. This would be the example I would be using if your text looks similar to the one in my email. Just in case you want to screenshot it, I will leave it on the screen for just a second. And then I'm going to be setting the variable to the first name and the last name. So in this case, the way I have set up my regex expression is going to give me one group with the first name, one group with the last name. So what I have done is created an object variable. So if we go up at the top where it says variables, we can create any variable here. As you can see, name is the only one that's an object. So if we click edit, I have one field for the first name, one field for the last name, and the rest are all strings. So if you want to create any variable, just click here. You can select the type as well as give it a name. Now going back to this action, which is the set variable action, you just have to select your variable from the drop down. Then we're going to click on set, and then using the token picker, you can assign the values. So in this case, for the first name, I would get group 1, and for the last name, I would get group 2. And it's basically the same process for the other two. The only thing that changes is the pattern that I'm using. So this is the one I used for the department. And then for the set variable, the only thing that changes is now I'm getting the value from extract department, so it'd be the group 1. And same exact thing for the start date, so this would be the pattern that I'm using. And then I'm just setting the start date variable as well. The next action is called log to history. This just helps us visualize the information in a more clear way. So here I'm just looking at the value that was assigned for each one of the fields. Just in case there's an error, you can easily look at it. The next action I'll be using is called generate password. What this is going to do is help us generate a safe password. You can change the minimum and the maximum length. You can choose to include uppercase, numbers, special characters, etc. Now, the next action is called create user. This is going to help us create their email account. So the action is called create user, and what we have to do is set up a connection to our Google directory. Here we're going to indicate what their email is going to look like. In this case, I'm using their first and last name. To be able to select values from variables that we have set, we're going to click on the token picker, and the variables are found down at the bottom. So we're able to select any of these tokens. For the password, we're going to use the output of the generate password. Here we would indicate their first name, their last name, and there's different optional fields that you can select from. So you can feel free to make this as complex as needed. In this case, what I'm adding is their department, as well as giving them the option to change their password at next login. So here I have used the information from the department, and then I just set this to yes. And the last step is going to be notifying HR that we have created a new account. So this action is called send email Gmail. So what this does is send an email on behalf of the Gmail account. So you're going to set up your connection once again. Who are we sending it to? I have created a variable called HR team, and I have set the default value as their email. So we can just set that there. You're able to add a sender display name, a subject, and then for the body, I have just added some text, basically letting them know that this person will be starting on the start date. They will be part of this department. I added the user ID for the user I created, their email, their password. We're able to see a lot of information from the create user, so this is the ID that I have set here. We can also add their email account, which is the one I have put here. And then we're able to see more information depending on if you added it or not. And that would be everything. Let's go ahead and save and test run. Okay, as we can see, it's going through the steps and it has completed. Okay, and this would be the email that HR would be receiving. So here we're letting them know their first and last name, their start date, the user ID, their department, their new email, and their password. Basically, they'd be able to forward this information to the user to their personal email so that they are able to log in and change their password. And that would be everything. Like mentioned, remember that Zenphi has a lot of different actions, so you can add more steps if you want to make it even more complex, help you save even more time. Make sure to check out the rest of our YouTube tutorials. There you'll find different use cases using different actions, using different triggers. That way you're able to automate as many processes as possible. Also, you'll find a link in the description to be able to set up a demo meeting with our specialized team. This is a completely free meeting where you're able to learn more about Zenphi, learn ways that you can save time, save money, and there we can even help you build your first flow, which is awesome. Thank you so much for watching.